You can never live the life that you're supposed to have unless you become willing to become your authentic self. And your authentic self means the person that you turn into as you live. That is your journey of evolving, of self actualization, personal development, however you think of it. But every person has that. And when we can't accept who we are, who we can become, our life becomes really challenging. And then the more of us who can't accept that, the world looks a little chaotic. And so we can look at our lives now and the world and think something is really going wrong. And I will tell you that's not happening. Wilhelm gave us everything we need to change our lives and change the world. Saying those words just seemed so ridiculous to me until I saw that it was true. And especially today when I got up and saw, oh, things have really shifted, and it's everything that Wilhelm has told me over the years. There's nothing accidental happening in our world. We are moving through energetic changes that have occurred before, but are coming about now in a really kind of dynamic way. And so I was looking last night and I started to write something which I knew was coming from Wilhelm because I said, let me kind of explain what's going on, why the world looks the way that it does, because I know that Wilhelm is giving me all that information. But this information is something that's happened in our world before, but I was given a different way to understand it and a different way to understand you. See, because they showed me that there's an energetic alignment to everything, including you, your life, when you were born, what you were meant to do, because it's within you. All you have to do is move through the limitations that have been there because they exist within all of us. When we come into the world, we can't evolve or expand or create something unless we're willing to change and to move into a new way of being. But see, then we also have the collective consciousness of which we all operate. And so we're controlled by that as well. Then we start to understand that we each contribute to what is in that collective consciousness and decide, we've got to decide what we're going to do about it. And what I was given through Wilhelm is a philosophy that would change the world. And that seemed so impossible until I understood why. See, because what it does, it gives you everything that you want. It gives you the direction of your life. It tells you who you are, what you're meant to do in this life, in this lifetime, gives you all of that. And then you have the ability to become abundant, prosperous, have everything that you want, have the right relationships, all those things. And the only reason you wouldn't do it is that you're not willing to discover who you are. You're just not willing to take those steps. You're not born into the world knowing all of that, but you have things that you will move through in your life and that be challenging, difficult, or whatever, but that's part of your plan. And your plan is your divine plan. And I love using that one because that's something none of us really understand or believe. Well, Wilhelm told me that it was all true. When I started doing life channeling, what they said was that I was meant to bring to the world and or marry, bring to the world science, spirituality, and human potential. And I've done those. I'm 74 years old and I know you can accomplish anything because I've had to move through it. It was not the life that I would have consciously chosen, but I know now that it's one that was needed in the world right now because we're going through this huge transition. And see, what Wilhelm gave us was something where we could create this world where we would love it. But we had to look at all the stuff we were afraid of or that we were ignoring and not acknowledging within ourselves or acknowledging within the world. And so I was became the example because what I did when I started receiving this information, well, I healed with it, but something else happened in 2016. They said, we're taking you in a different direction because your world is going to move through some changes, and we have given you all of the information to help you change that. I thought, that's not possible. It couldn't have been me. We all say that until I started seeing that was real. And so they started showing me how I developed this ability that no other human had had. I had to come, I always thought something was wrong with me. You know how you have that? Something's wrong with me. Why do I act this way? Why do I care about people? Why do I think that we can do something wonderful? Why do I care about the world in this way? And And so then it was shown to me that everything I was given was a new philosophy, a new way for humans to exist. Because see what happens with this work, you start to find your place and your unique genetic code that comes into the world. You start living that, you start becoming prosperous and happy. You pass that on to your children or those around you who might be watching you. And then we start to see a very different world, and we don't see what's going on now. And what this particular period is, and why Wilhelm gave us the work, because they said we have a consciousness, a collective consciousness that has not honored all people, because we have used race and gender and all those things for eons to kind of keep some of us down. And then we put others in power, a position, with money and wealth and influence and all those things. And so then we keep carrying around a consciousness that tells us we're not enough. And I said, well, I'm not going to be the one to tell them that. And I tried to hide from it. And that's when I wrote, I realized that at one point, so I wrote myself that $10 million check I keep talking about, because I knew in 2018 that the work that Wilhelm had given me, because it changed my life, it healed everything. So if more people did that, wouldn't it make a big difference in the world? And it would, except we lack self-belief. Because I will tell you of things that you can do and accomplish, and you'll say, no, that's not possible, simply because you haven't done it. And because I lived this life where I brought in a philosophy in a way that no other human in history has done, it was challenging for me to accept. How is this happening? See, because what happened when I started receiving this information in 1989, I was never going to tell anyone. I was like a hermit. I was going to hide and I'm going through every horrible thing in my life and suffering and sitting there every day and writing information. And what it ended up being was a university, a consciousness that anyone who uses it, you shift your life. You do, and you become the person you're meant to be. And I know that that's true because I was given all the work. Now, the only thing I haven't done is put it all out there. But what I did, just to show you, 2021, I put people into this program and used some of this work, and only used 31 days. And they transformed, and they were just like, what happened to me? That was because I didn't realize that the information I was receiving was cosmically aligned. And it said every soul is born with worth and purpose. They just have to find their place. Who made up the fact that certain people are more powerful or more important than others? It's a consciousness that we have accepted. And so Wilhelm says, we're going to change all of that. And so in this last video that I put up from 3 years ago, you'll hear all of that. They talked about how the first part of my life was filled with all kinds of trauma, and it was everything. That's why I can say to you that the information that I was given tells me that you can achieve anything. You may not believe that, because that's pretty much what happens for all of us. We don't believe. And I couldn't believe that I had received information, and I'm going to show you, because I need you to understand we have to speak about things to cause our world to become more, because otherwise we stay in fear, and then those who have been in control forever keep doing that. And that was really the work that came through with Wilhelm. So what I started to do, and I said, how did this happen? Why do I know who each person is? And I can analyze things, and why am I able to access information? When I do a channeling session, you'll hear it, because it was in there. Someone asks a question, and I'm in a completely different place, and I can answer your question. That's because we have a greater intelligence that exists. I happen to tap into it. Reluctantly, as I said the other day, because I did call myself the reluctant mystic because it didn't make sense to me. But now I've created a philosophy that will change the world. And so as people start to see this, now my problem was I couldn't, because it was so new, I couldn't even charge the right amount of money. So now what I'm going to do is work with those people who know how to do marketing, get it out to as many people as possible, and then get it to the rate. Because see, we're in a place where we need to change our financial situation, and that's in consciousness, meaning that our worth and value. The only thing that's happening, and this just happened in the United States, we're seeing all across the world, we're seeing all the stock markets. I did a video on that because Wilhelm told us that would occur. We move through generations of change, but unless we're willing to own and understand who we are, we still keep creating chaos and keeping others in poverty, and we're not accepting who we could become as an individual and also as a world. And Wilhelm has given me that word. But I couldn't tell you before because it couldn't have made sense until we saw the crash today. Because see, they told me all of that. And the other thing they told me was that my difficulty was not charging enough money because I was perpetuating the poverty consciousness because I created something and lived it, something that's so valuable that could change anyone's life. And I wasn't willing to talk about it or to change it because I'm worried about what you might believe. Except now I know that I can no longer do that because I want to see the world a little better. And I have all these folks who are in the program who I haven't finished all the work, and they're just so wonderful. We had a great meeting this morning. And so I said, we're going to have all of it now because it was just too astonishing to see what I didn't know. But the same is true for you. We never know what we have. It's a development that happens within each person. And I'm saying that you have something that can be developed, and this work will change your life. And the more of us who do it, it'll change our world. And that's what I'm committed to now. But just understand that whatever you might be experiencing now is the next step that you're meant to take on your evolutionary path to become the great person that you were born to be. And I can say that now because I know it's every single person because I was shown. And the thing about the birthdays, I want to talk about that because when Wilhelm told me in 2021 that and you'll hear some of these videos where they said they've given me all this information in 2012, and if I met someone, that I would have a message on their birthday. That seemed so outlandish, and I kind of laughed about it. I said, I'm not going to do it. Then I kept doing it, and everywhere I went, it was accurate. And that's to say that you are accurate. You have a place in this world, and I just happen to receive the guidance to tell you how to get there. That's what we're doing now. And we can change our lives and change our world. Thank you so much for being here. Please check out all the work. You will see that your best life is right in front of you. See you soon.